This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it's time for the Intentionality Gurus with Candace Pollock. And today, the subject is, I'm going to say it, and those of you listening, this is, not a bad word, but the subject is WOOP, WOOP. What does it mean?
WOOP, it's not a word I made up. Oh. It's actually made by a researcher, and it's an acronym, actually, that stands for Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, Plan. And this researcher, her name is Gabrielle Ottinger, wrote the book Rethinking Positive Thinking. And in her research, she found that the dream about it will come is only the beginning, the start of it. And there are other elements that we have to address in order to have some of our wishes work out. So we just briefly touched on it in the end of middle December last year as part of an overarching thing of starting strong, but I only used it in reference. And then I had the pleasure of hearing Dr. Ottinger talk and demonstrate an exercise, and I realized, I need to go deeper into this on the podcast because it's something we can do for ourselves, and it really creates a huge shift. So we'll maybe use our little guinea pig to step forward and volunteer herself.
Okay.
So, you ready, little guinea pig?
I'm ready.
Maybe I should request a guinea pig whoop whoop whistle or something.
Whoop whoop.
She says enthusiastically as she's being voluntold. All right. So, and I thought it's appropriate, we've been in such a jumble since I briefly mentioned it. And I don't know about you. I mean, I'm having difficulty telling one day from the next. And somebody wrote about a meeting we're having in September. And I actually did think it was next week. I just have a total, jumble in my brain.
Sure.
And I thought this might be a nice anchoring tool, but it's a wonderful skill to learn. And I was reading a National Institute of Health study, actually, that was done utilizing this tool with fifth graders that were in disadvantaged circumstances, primarily in their behavior at school and so on. And they found that it was a hugely useful tool for these kids, and they improved academically and helping them set their own behavior standards and achieving that. I mean, that really kind of brings tears to my eyes that, what a wonderful skill for, how old are you in fifth grade for people that age?
Right, exactly.
To learn. So I don't know who thought of doing that. Okay, so little guinea pig, I'm going to take you through a kind of a prolonged conversation. It won't take up the whole call, but I'd like you to think about the next 4 weeks. So basically August and maybe in the entirety of August. And think about what one dearest wish or objective you'd like to fulfill in that, something that you could accomplish in that period of time. And it should be something that's challenging for you, but feasible to accomplish. So, no climbing Mount Everest between now and then.
Okay.
The first thing on your list, I'm sure. And if you have several of them, pick the one that's going to be the most important to you. I mean, most of us, particularly when we have our own businesses and we're juggling family and business and all sorts of other things, have several fronts where we have something that's important to us. So pick the number one that would be important to you. And sometimes that can be, we can see that as a keystone objective that would actually probably help support the other ones.
Okay.
And then when you think of it, summarize it in your own mind in 3 to 6 words and keep that in the front of your head. You can close your eyes if you want to take a few moments to do that. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So hold that in your mind, and I'm assuming that people that are listening would be following along and doing it for themselves. So that's the W, the wish in WHOOP. All right. So now what I'd like you to do is say to yourself or think to yourself, what is the best outcome you associate with fulfilling that wish? How would fulfilling it make you feel? What would be the best thing about achieving it? And then do the same thing. Distill it down to 3 to 6 words and keep that in the front of your head. And I'll give you a few minutes to think that through.
Okay.
All right, so now what I want you to do is like really embrace in your mind as vividly as possible what that outcome is. I mean, I want you to feel it with your 5 senses that you've achieved it, and just imagine what it feels like as fully as you can that you've achieved it. And then when you're ready, let me know and we'll go to the next.
I got it.
So that was the outcome. That's the first O in WHOOP.
Okay.
All right. So now I want you to think about and experience in your own mind what holds you back from realizing that wish. It's probably something you've identified before, or in the neighborhood of something you've identified before. And what is it about it that stands in your way of making your wish come true? You know, how do you think, or how are you behaving, and what emotions pop up to keep you from fulfilling your wish? And go into this one a little deeper and identify, you know, basically what stops you, and you know, is maybe a repeated theme in getting in your own way. What main inner obstacle is there? And then distill that down to 3 to 6 words, and then do the same thing as the last one, where you really embody it and feel it with all 5 senses.
Okay.
Alrighty. So now that was the obstacle, the second O. So now I want you to, you know, spend time in your thoughts about what you could do to overcome that obstacle, and identify one action you could take or one thought you could hang on to overcome your obstacle. What could you do? You know, what action or one thought could you hold on to, and then summarize it in 3 to 6 words. Keep it in the front of your mind, right? And then we'll do something with that when you've thought of it.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to take what you just thought of, and we're going to convert it into an if-then plan. And we've talked about that before, in essence, an algorithm. If this occurs, then that is going to occur. Or if I think this, then I'm going to do that, whatever it happens to be. So what action or thought, what's the if for you? I mean, you can keep it to yourself, or you can say it out loud. It's up to you.
I don't mind sharing. So my thought is about weight loss and self-care. And if I follow my heart and my plan, it's achievable. If I allow obstacles to get in my way, obviously it will be harder to achieve.
Okay, so use the if then, so you're almost there.
Okay,
so if I follow my heart and plan, then
I will lose the weight that I want to make myself feel better.
Okay, and then you said it a different way the second time, so
right.
Let's do the same to that.
So if I let the obstacles get in my way, then I won't lose the weight and I won't feel as good about myself.
And so which one resonates most strongly for you?
Well, if you would have asked me last week, I would have said number 2, because, I just saw obstacles getting in my way and did not feel good about myself. But what resonates most is resonating since last week is that this is something that I want to do. So if I follow my plan, I will feel better about myself. It's not necessarily about the number of the weight loss, but it's about working towards it.
And what would happen if you did all of the things and you didn't achieve the weight loss?
If part of the plan is self-care for me, and so if I'm taking care of myself, that will be a big plus. The weight loss is important, but it's the self-care that probably for me is more important, because self-care will make me feel better about myself.
Okay, so say it again now that reflects that.
So if I follow my plan to lose the weight, whether I lose the weight or not, as long as I'm taking care of me, I will be okay.
So let's make it shorter. Okay. If I follow the plan.
Okay, if I follow the plan.
Then
I will be okay.
And how does that feel?
Feels really good.
Which one resonates for you the most?
Making it simple.
The way you said it originally, or
no,
the second one?
The second one. Making it more simple, because it's not as daunting. It's, if I follow the plan, I'm going to be okay.
And which part do you have control over?
I do have control over following the plan.
And which part don't you have control over?
The only part that I won't say I don't have control, but I'll have less control when there's obstacles in my way. It takes more effort to get through them.
Yeah, but you can still follow the plan. So
right.
That's what I'd like to underscore.
Okay.
So to be realistic about, we come up with these plans, but we only have control over so much. The rest is up to, karma, neuroscience, biochemistry, who knows what, maybe bad luck or superstition,
right.
Whatever, fill in the word of choice. But the point is, you can be following your plan, and as you say, then you will be okay,
right.
because that alone probably is going to be gratifying too.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been following a plan, but I've let it get out of control, and then all of a sudden last week it was like, okay, I went off the rails. Now We're going to follow the plan. And, each day, I'm doing something that my father used to do, and that is looking in the mirror every morning, and no matter what I look like, when that stare comes back at me, I tell myself that, I look good. And it starts off my day differently. It's like, wow, okay, you may look good with black smudges under your eyes, but hey, you look good.
It's a good look.
Yeah, and I'm learning how to accept those things, and that's why when I bring up the fact that yes, I would like to lose weight, but if it doesn't happen, if the end result is feeling good about myself because I'm following a good plan, that's the most essential thing for me.
Which ironically probably will give you that feeling of success, so that the weight loss would be easier.
Yes.
The opposite is true when we have the high expectations. We haven't thought through some of the obstacles, and it doesn't happen for who knows what reason, a whole bunch of possible reasons. And then we beat ourselves up because of that. And it's just, what Dr. Ottinger discovered is that, her book is entitled Rethinking Positive Thinking. And basically the widely held belief is that positive thinking is going to motivate our current behavior to achieve that thing in the remote future.
Okay.
And while some of that can be true, what they discovered upon studying, actually measuring, is that thinking through more effectively the obstacles, either our own internal mental processes or some of the logistical, practical obstacles, like if I'm going to climb Mount Everest, I better buy some climbing equipment, those kinds of things, maybe get into shape, and so on. But thinking those through. So rather than just focusing on the dream part, the wish part, we have to think through the likely obstacles. Where are we likely to trip up?
Right.
And what's our kryptonite? Those kinds of things, and then have the game plan for that. So that's the then. And Dr. Ottinger's husband, whose name I feel so badly for him because I can never remember his name, even though he's a scientist of renown in his own right, but he came up with the term implementation intention. And that's this last prong, the plan, that we have something already thought out about how we're going to react if something goes awry.
Interesting.
So, does that make you whoop?
Yeah, it does. While we were going through all this, I was making myself notes. Just coming up with that wish to me wasn't enough. Why do I have that wish? So I wrote that down. Because sometimes, at least for myself, you wish for something. Oh, I wish I had more money. But then you don't talk about, well, what is that going to do for you? Okay. Having more money just so that I can tell people I have money, or is it something that I want to purchase, or is there something I need to pay off? And it's taken me a long time to understand that, there's so much more that goes into it. So if you're wishing to lose weight, why do I want to lose weight? And now if I can look at the why, it's easier to then come up with that plan, how I'm going to do it.
Well, and Dr. Michelle Segar, Segar, because I don't want people, if they're trying to look her up, they won't find her under that name necessarily. She's the one that studied motivation. And what I'd like to do is also foreshadow what we're going to talk about the next time, about this really keen formula for identifying where we can place some emphasis to get more motivation towards some of these things. But Dr. Michelle Seeger's research shows that if we can identify what you just described, the why do I want this, and anchor it to something that's gratifying now, not just later, we are more likely to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So here are all these researchers coming in from these various perspectives, different directions towards the same destination of what makes us tick as humans and what keeps getting in our way. Because, most of us are saying we want the same things, and a lot of us aren't getting there in a reliable way.
Right.
But research is showing us why, which I think is so cool.
Well, I think
so.
Don't you think that so many of us, we don't want to think about the why? It's just, hey, I just want to do this, whatever it is. I want to get an A on my test. Why? Because I want an A. We don't stop and think about I want an A because that's going to increase my GPA or make my parents proud or whatever it is. And I just find that when we talk about these things, it like enlightens me, and it's like, oh, there's a reason for everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it brings me to that thought of we're really complex little mammals, aren't we?
Yes, we
are.
It
just absolutely fascinates me that, for all I know, this is all made up stuff. We're just somebody else's dream. But the point is that, we're one of those thinking mammals. Not that others aren't, but it just amazes me that it's such an interesting phenomena. So anyway.
So now I know what whoops means.
Yes, exactly. So if somebody wants to see the exercise, I was just following her protocol. It's on whoopmylife.org, and it's called the Whoop Kit, and she has an app for it. The app is just taking you through the bare bones formula, but the Whoop Kit has a little script that I followed, and the point is, as she says in this kit, you can use this on big things, little things, before you go into a meeting, conversation with somebody in the family, maybe vacation plans, fitness or weight loss plan, all sorts of things. And so it could be like just a 1-minute exercise. You don't have to go deep, but to the extent you do and you viscerally experience the outcome and the obstacle, and so on, the more likely you're really going to get in touch and anchor it in your neuroscience way, in your brain chemistry way.
Well, I
encourage everybody to check that out.
And we'll put that in the description of today's show, so those of you who are listening and you go, what was that address? Just look at the description, and we'll have whoopmylife.org and the Whoop Kit. That was interesting.
It was fun, I think.
Yes, it was.
She even has some ways of refining your plan. So we didn't get into all of those things. But anyway, I mean, this is the woman that developed this. She and her husband came up with that other concept, the implementation intention, and they've got all the research behind it. So there's real science behind it.
Well, we'll learn about
go into your weekend
time.
With that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just may walk a little bit further tomorrow on my weight loss program, just because it's going to make me feel good. So, hey.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening. Stay healthy and well. Wear your mask, and
whoop it up.
Yeah, and whoop it up. And we'll be back with you in about 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Sure.